Hi, I'm Adam the Tank Engine, and I join game jams and share what I learned. Today I'll discuss how to create a minimap without having to code anything. I'll also show how I created this title screen and intro sequence, as well as lament a few features that I really wish I built before the game jam ended. This is the OpenWorld Jam. It lasted for a full month, which is helpful. Not many people submitted to this project, but I guess that happens sometimes. Open world is kind of a big ask. So the game I created is called Cooper's Crash. There was a lot of stuff I envisioned for this game that didn't really work out. But here are a couple things that did. First of all, you can see the title. It's a stationary object that's just sort of animated to move around. And then I have a particle system that's just shooting particles all around to make it seem like he might be moving. Not sure if that effect worked, but in my imagination it does. Now when you hit a button on the title screen, it will start this timeline and just sort of run through all these animations that I previously created. For the subtitles, because I didn't have anything to record with, it's just making these active and inactive. So these are just each block of words. When that one's done, it moves to the next one. And I'm sorry you have to just read them. If I ever work on this again, I'll just record something so you don't have to do all this reading. That's pretty much it. The timeline is pretty fun once you get used to it. There may be plenty of other ways to handle this, but here's how you can create a mini map or even a full screen map without having to do any scripting. It's just a matter of using layers to hide and show whatever you want to appear on the map. So the basic concept here is that I have a player, this ball is the player, that is being shown by the regular game camera. For the map, we'll use a second camera. We point it straight down, bring it up real high, or as high as you need it to be. Right now this camera is showing everything. This is where layers come into play. So you can add a layer, I already did, it's called minimap. I created these map markers that we will have to place on a minimap layer, so it only shows on our minimap camera. So give those the correct layer. We're going to go to the minimap camera. And if you go to culling mask, this is your layers. So what we want is the minimap. So I don't want any of this stuff. I just want anything on the minimap layer. So as you can see, that's all it's showing. And then we're actually going to change the color to just this blue for now, just because, no real reason. So for my game, I used a sphere with a flat shader color, so it would just show up as a circle. You could use icons or images to make this more exciting, but I just did this because it was quick, to be honest. Now I also created one for the player, and I put it right on top of the player. So the player's moving around, it kind of moves. Right? Depending on how you want the map to work, you could have this attached right to the player as well. So when you move the player, the other objects surround you since you're the center of the universe. To get this as a map, you need a couple things. You need to go to UI, create a raw image. You need somewhere in your project, you need to create a render texture. I'm just going to leave that name because it's perfect. So then you go to your minimap camera and you use, for target texture, this new render texture. So now that camera is basically just for this texture. So then you go to the raw image and use that render texture as the texture. And that minimap camera will now show up here, and it will show up in real time. So you could leave it as that, or you can add a background to it. You know, you can make it like a full-size map. You know, you hit the M key and this canvas pops up, you know, however you want to do it. And of course, you could do things with this camera in your script. So if you get close to one of these marked items, these map markers, it could zoom in a bit if you're really far away from an item. Or if you're trying to direct the player towards something, you can kind of move the camera up or down just to show more of the map. So yeah, that's the minimap. There are, of course, a lot of things that prevented this particular project from being as good as I envisioned. For one thing, the camera is awful. It's rigid and boring. Due to time and other factors, I just parented the camera to the player container and called it a day. I really wanted to have something more like the old PS1 N64 style platformers, where you move in a direction of the camera instead of where your character is pointing. So press up and the character moves away from the screen, press down, the character moves towards you. That way we could have gotten a better look at the character model that I so lovingly crafted. But unfortunately, you just see the back of his head the whole time. Secondly, there's nothing to do except walk around. I wanted there to be creatures that you could kick around, but obviously that didn't happen. I do like games where you just explore and don't have to concern yourself with defeating enemies, which is perfect for a kid's game, but in this case, we really could have used it. Speaking of not having much to do, if I were to work on this some more, which I likely won't, some of these ruins you come across could have been a lot more elaborate. Sort of like many levels to get through. Or like a Zelda temple where you find ruins and it's a whole other adventure. Instead, they just look like something from my old Quake mapping days. But even though I technically had a month to finish the game jam, there's only so much you can do with a few hours per week to work with. 4 kids will do that to you. Having said all that, maybe give it a try. I hope you enjoy it.